Good morning or afternoon, depending on when you're watching this. This is Terrence Vance from 3.6. I hope everybody is having a great week so far. Today we're going to do a ULS lesson, and we are going to talk about finding the right job for you. Finding the right job for you. We're going to go down to the bottom here. Finding a job can be hard work. There are many different kinds of jobs. It is important to find a job that is right for you. The right job is a job that matches with your skills, interests, and needs. So we're going to move forward. We're going to talk a little bit more about matching and finding out what your skills are, your interests are, and your needs are. Skills are things you have learned how to do. Some skills you learned in school, like reading, writing, adding, and subtracting. These are important skills. There are other important skills too. Being creative, knowing when to talk and when to listen, working together with others on a team, and completing a job are all important skills. Interests are things you enjoy. If you have a job that you like, then you will want to work more. If you enjoy talking with people and helping them with an issue, you may want to work in a retail store rather than a warehouse. You may like to work inside rather than outside. Or you may like to move around and walk instead of sitting at a desk. It is important that you and your transition team know what your interests are. This will help the team find the right job for you. Needs are things you must have in order to do your job. Everyone has different needs. It is important to know your needs. You may have a need for help with speaking, seeing, or hearing. You may need directions with pictures and words. You may need to sit instead of stand. You may need to use a calculator when counting out change for a customer. You must advocate and speak up for your needs at a job. When you are ready for work, you will want to find a job that is right for you. Remember, the right job matches your skills, your interests, and your needs. It is important to know your skills, interests, and needs. It is important to tell your team your skills, interests, and needs. Then you'll find the right job for you. Finding the right job for you. Find a job that is right for you. The right job matches your skills. The right job matches your interests. The right job matches your needs. So when you're looking for a job, you want to find something that you're actually interested in, okay? Something that you like, okay? You may not like working outside. You may not like working inside. You may not like working in a factory. You may not like working in a kitchen. So you want to find something that you're into. If you like cooking food at home, you might like working in a kitchen or a restaurant. If you like doing the same thing multiple times a day, you might like working in a factory. You want to find things that match your skills, and skills can be built. So just because you don't know something at the time, you can actually learn that skill and you can build upon it. The more you practice it, the better you're going to get at it. And the more skills you learn, the more jobs you'll have available to you. And then you want to find the right job that matches your needs. So if you have any specific needs, like you can't sit for a long time or you can't stand for a long time, you might want to find a job that caters to those specific needs. Skills are things you learned how to do. Some skills are reading, listening, and teamwork. Okay. So some skills like reading, you want to be able to read certain things for certain jobs. For example, I used to work for an apartment complex doing maintenance. I was a maintenance supervisor there, and we'd have to go into certain people's apartments and we'd have to fix them. So people would call in a work order. A work order would get printed up on a piece of paper, and it would tell me the name of the person that lived there. It might have their contact information. It had their apartment number on it, and then it had a description of the problem they had put in. For example, they might say that they had a clogged sink. So I would know that I would need to bring certain tools with me to possibly fix that job. and get it complete. It would also tell me maybe what time of the day they might want me to come by there. Maybe they work really late and they like to sleep in and don't want anybody in there before 10 a.m. So I wouldn't go knocking on their door until that time. Another skill we're going to talk about is listening. Listening is very important. You want to be able to listen because more than likely you're going to have a boss, and a boss might tell you what task you need to do for that day. So for example, I used to work in a kitchen. I was responsible for cooking meals that patrons would come inside, place an order for food, and almost every day I'd be in the kitchen cooking. But there were times when we'd be slow or we might have too many people working in the kitchen. And again, the kitchen was slow, so there might be some other work that he needed me to do. One day a boss came over and told me he wanted me to go around and do some cleaning instead of cooking because we didn't have any food orders coming in. So if I wasn't able to listen to him, I wouldn't have known that other task that he would have required of me for that day. And finally, teamwork. So some jobs you will be required to work with other people. Most jobs you will be required to work with other people. Some you may work with a lot of people. Some you may work in a factory. Maybe you work on a line with a lot of people. Or maybe you do some landscaping where you're cutting grass and working with others, mowing the lawn or doing some weed whipping, pulling weeds, things like that. So you might be working with a team. Or in my classroom, for example, we have parapros that I work with, like Marshawn and Maya, and we work together. Certain people might work with certain students certain times of the day, doing certain jobs, certain reading activities or lessons that we're working on, different cooking activities. So we got to work together as a team to make sure we're splitting up the workload and know who's doing what. Interests are things you like to do. You may like working outside. You may like sitting at a desk. Tell your team what you like to do. So for me, I like a balance. I like working inside, and I like working outside. But if it's not nice outside, like it's the winter time, I'm not a big fan of the cold, so I may not want to be outside that time of year. So if you're not big into the cold, you may not like doing things like snow removal where you're outside shoveling snow, which was something I used to do when I worked for the apartment complex. So we'd have to go outside, shovel the snow in the cold, make sure the sidewalks were all cleared for everybody to walk on safely. You may like sitting at a desk. So if working inside is something that you like, you may like sitting there at a desk. For me right now, I don't like it because I'd rather be in our classroom working with the students. I also injured my back this week, helping put up a basketball hoop for my children, digging a hole, and sitting at a desk right now does not feel good. So I got to think about things like that. And so do you when you were looking for a job. So you want to tell your team what you like to do, and you got to advocate for yourself, and they will advocate for you. Everyone has different needs at a job. Some needs are using pictures instead of words, sitting instead of standing, using a calculator for counting money. So some of us may not be able to use our words, right? We may have a talking device that we need to use, and we need to make sure our bosses or people that we're working with maybe either need to help us using our talking device or at least know how to listen to us when we're using our talking device. Sitting instead of standing. So some people may not be able to stand for long periods of time. And some people may not be able to sit for long periods of time. Maybe they need to get up and move around. So those are different needs that you need to think of when you're looking for a specific job. And finally, using a calculator for counting money. So some people can use their brains and count money or count numbers in their head. Other people may need to use a calculator. So say, for example, you are working at a grocery store at a checkout line, and somebody comes and buys $13.56 worth of goods from the store, and they hand you a $20 bill. You're going to need to be able to calculate how much change they're going to get back from that $20 bill. And if you cannot do that in your head, you may need a calculator. Fortunately, nowadays we have things like the registers where they scan the items, it brings up the total, and if you punch in how much money they've given you, and it'll usually tell you the change amount that you'll give them back. So for there, may say $6 and X amount of cents. So see, for example, I cannot do that math in my head, $20 minus $13.56. So for me, I would need a calculator. You want the right job for you. Know your skills, interests, and needs. Then you will find the right job. So again, recapping what we read, you want to find the right job for you. If you find the right job, something you enjoy, you love, you're going to want to do it more. You're going to want to do it longer. You're not going to wake up in the morning and be like, I don't want to go to work today. You're going to be excited. I get to go to work today. I get to go teach my students, go see them in the classroom or online like we're doing now. Okay. So, and you want to know your skills. So things you're good at, but remember, you can also build upon skills. Things that you don't know how to do yet, you can learn those skills. So for example, me, when I was growing up around my parents' house, I would help with the dusting, the vacuuming, cutting the grass. So things all, I didn't know it at first, but my parents showed me, helped me learn those skills, and I built upon them. And now I get to go outside and cut my own grass at my own home. I get to dust around my own house. I get to vacuum around my own house. And I even applied some of those skills when I was working at various jobs throughout my life. Working at the restaurant when I was asked to clean, I knew how to go around and dust the tables and the ledging. When I worked for the apartment complex, some of the jobs we have to do after we were done working in an apartment, we would have to clean up after ourselves so the resident did not come home to a mess we might have left behind or made while fixing something that they had called in request that we fix. We didn't want to leave them with a mess, so we would clean up behind ourselves. Interest. You want to make sure you're finding something you're interested in so you can do that job and actually enjoy it. I enjoy teaching. That's why I went into it. Most of the jobs I've had over my life, I've enjoyed. For example, I used to work in a factory making exhaust manifolds, and that job required me to do the same thing over 400 times in an 8-hour shift. So some people don't like factory work. They don't like doing repetitive things, the same thing over and over and over. Whereas some people may like that and enjoy it. I didn't mind it. It kept my mind busy, and you got good at what you did because you did it so often. And then you want to think about your needs. So depending on your personal needs, those are going to vary. Over my life, I really haven't had any needs that have had to be met. When I worked for the apartment complex, though, I needed an apartment to live in, and I was fortunate enough when I worked there. I was working my way up, became the maintenance supervisor, which they gave me a free two-bedroom apartment, so I didn't have to pay for rent, which helped me save money. I was able to use that money that I earned towards other bills, like my cell phone bill, paying for the electricity, buying groceries for the week. Usually left me with some money so I could actually go out, maybe have some fun with friends, go do something fun, see a movie, go out to dinner. So those various needs. And you do all those things, look for those, build those skills, find things that you're really interested in and want to do, meet those needs that you have, and you'll find the right job that's for you. I hope everybody has a great week. Keep learning. Leave some comments below. Maybe share some of your interests, things you might be interested in, and share some of those skills. Talk about some of those skills that you've learned in the classroom, maybe at home, and keep building upon them. You can actually work on some of those skills at home right now. Some of those things like I was doing, cleaning, cooking, great skills to learn when you're living on your own, or even if you are living with some other people, maybe you can make somebody else a meal. It's always nice to help others and cook for others. So have a great week, everybody. See you in a few.